皆さん、こんにちは。本日は、県立広島大学大学院経営管理研究科、広島ビジネスマネジメントスクール、HBMS アジア大学連携講座にご参加いただきありがとうございます。今回で3回目の開催となります本講座は、SME、スモールミディアムエンタープライズ、中堅・中小企業に焦点を当てた公開講座となっております。本日は中小企業 SDGs 経営成功への道と題して国内外から5名の先生方をお招きしてオンラインと対面日英同時通訳にてお送りさせていただきます。私は本日の司会進行を務めます HBMS 講師の磯貝日月と申します。どうぞよろしくお願いいたします。本日は、途中休憩を挟みまして4時半までを予定しておりますが、前半は各20分、4名の先生方によるショートレクチャーをしていただき、後半は、本学専攻長の江戸勝栄先生にモデレーターをお願いし、パネルディスカッションと Q&A を予定しております。後ほど質疑応答の時間を設けたいと思っておりますが、Zoom でご参加の方、いつでも結構ですので、質問ございましたらばチャットに書き込んでいただければと思います。会場の方はまた後ほどお時間ございますので、そちらでご発声いただければと思います。それでは早速、前半のショートレクチャーを始めたいと思います。まずは、マレーシアからマラヤ大学ビジネス経済学部ファイナンス学科准教授、ヌール・シャナーズ先生にお願いしたいと思います。シャナーズ先生、よろしくお願いいたします。
ありがとうございます。ゆずき先生。こんにちは。元気ですか？私の名前はシャナス・マザンです。私はマラヤ大学の出身です。はじめまして。So now please allow me to speak in English. The title of my presentation today is Sustainable Finance as a Pathway to Sustainable Branding, Cases of Women-Empowered Sustainable SMEs in Malaysia. My presentation will consist of three main parts. The first one is an introduction. The second part, I will feature two cases of women-empowered sustainable SMEs in Malaysia. And finally, I will conclude. So just as an introduction, I will cover a little bit the background of SDGs, ESG, and sustainable finance. So I think we are all familiar with the concept of sustainable development goals. So these SDGs are adopted by United Nations members, which consists of 193 countries since 2015. So it is a blueprint of peace and prosperity for people and the planet for now and into the future. So it is through these SDGs, it is a global partnership by all countries, including both developed and developing countries. We are heading towards the same agenda, which is Sustainable Development Goals. So as we are all, I think, familiar with, there are 17 domains of SDG, starting off with no poverty. I can't read that actually. Okay, zero hunger, gender equality, and so on. So there are actually 17 SDGs. So moving towards ESG. So when we talk about businesses, okay, we know that businesses adopt these ESG practices. So what is ESG? ESG is a set of criteria that investors and businesses use to evaluate a company's impact on the environment, on society, and governance practices. So when we look at the first component, which is environmental, we are interested to know whether the company is safeguarding the environment. Are they including policies to address climate change, biodiversity, and energy and water efficiency? In terms of social, we want to know whether companies have a social impact What are their community relations? Are they providing fair working conditions for their workers? What are their labor policies? And whether the company is supporting equality and diversity. In terms of governance, we are also interested to know whether the firm is conducting their business ethically. Are they having, anti-corruption policies? Are they compliant to regulations? Are they transparent in their reporting? And are they committed towards shareholder and voter rights? So the SDGs and ESG actually they cover the same thing. So there is an overlap, between the 17 domains of SDG with the 3 domains of ESG. So some of the 17 pillars of the SDG come under social, some of them come under environment, and some under governance. And some of them actually overlap with each other. So in terms of SDG ranking by countries, since today's symposium involved 4 different countries, I will present to you the SDG ranking as of 2023. So Japan stands at rank number 21 out of 193 countries with a score of 79.41. Thailand ranks 43 with a score of 74.74. Vietnam ranks 55 with a score of 73.32. And Malaysia, disappointing for me, we are last on that list at number 78 with a score of 69.85. But I guess looking at it in perspective, there are 193 countries. So we're still like within the top 40 or 50%. But I guess we need to ask ourselves, are we happy with these scores? And what can we do to make things better? Okay, so now I will touch on sustainable finance. What is sustainable finance? So sustainable finance is about leveraging financial markets and financial instruments to support the business towards achieving those ESG outcomes. So if an investor is interested to invest in a company, they would take into consideration whether the company is engaging in these ESG factors. So any financial support that assists a company, in achieving their ESG agenda, that is sustainable finance. Okay, so a question to ask ourselves is that, do firms that focus on ESG actually perform better financially? So there was a study conducted by McKinsey and Company, which looked at more than 2,000 studies on the impact of ESG propositions on equity returns. So 63% of the more than 2,000 studies found that ESG relates positively towards financial performance. So companies that engage in ESG tend to perform better financially. And only 8% of those studies found that ESG negatively impacted the financial performance of companies. Another study by Capucci, 2018, he says that whatever worth doing is worth doing well. So what this graph shows here is that firms that engage in ESG just for the sake of doing it, or just at the surface level, on a mediocre basis, they tend to be stuck in the middle where they achieve a low financial performance. So what he is saying is that companies that wish to engage in ESG have to do well. Anything worth doing is worth doing well because it then translates to high financial performance for the firm. So how does ESG link to the positive cash flows? Okay, so there are 5 factors. I'll start with the first one, the one on top. Facilitating. So companies that engage in ESG practices, they are able to facilitate top-line growth, whereby they are able to attract B2B and B2C customers. So the second part is reducing cost, through lower energy and water consumption. So through ESG practices, those lower costs would translate into higher profits for the firm. The third one is minimizing regulatory and legal interventions or risk. So through engagement in ESG, firms are able to reduce penalties and earn certain subsidies. The fourth one is increasing employee productivity and motivation and reducing the social stigma. And lastly, firms that engage in ESG are able to optimize investment and capital expenditures for long-term use. So these are the 5 ways that ESG link to positive cash flows for the firm. So now I will go into the cases of women-empowered sustainable SMEs in Malaysia. So I will feature these 2 companies. So the first one is Cloth Cares, established by the 2 ladies there, Miss Susie and Madam Sarah. So this company actually provides the recycling bins at strategic locations at the corporates that have some partnership with them. Cloth Cares was established in 2013, 11 December 2013 by the 2 ladies. And if you look at the middle bottom there, philosophy, the company engages in what they call 5 R's. So rethink before you use in anything. Reduce, reuse, repurpose, and recycle. So the impact that they wish to achieve is waste that is recycled into new products and resources with higher material value and purpose. Okay, so I had an interview with the owners, and they shared with me that the company actually faced many financial challenges within the first 3 years. There was poor demand. The market was not ready. The supply chain did not give competitive pricing, and there were not many players in the market. It was very difficult to push the product. So these financial challenges actually led the company into bankruptcy within the first 3 years. And so after 3 years, they redefined their business model in 2018, and now they are like a catalyst of textile clothing and plastics in the circular economy. So this is like their business structure. So Cloth Cares on the left-hand side, that is more of a company that, you know, they wish to keep fabric out of landfills, fabrics and plastics. So the revenues generated from that business is through the selling of bins or selling sponsorship of bins to corporate companies. Yeah, and then they would sell the unwanted fabric to factories, gaining revenues for themselves. And on top of that, they also conduct knowledge sharing sessions, consulting and selling upcycled products. In terms of Cloth Woman Up in the middle, so what they do is that they engage with housewives from the low-income households to be seamstress, you know, to sew and upcycle merchandise. For example, they would upcycle denim into bags and so on. Okay, in terms of textile and clothwear, this is where they actually produce recycled textile and make it into, you know, a new type of textile and sustainably made clothing. So these are examples of the products and services that the company provides. So the bins that will be located at certain strategic locations of their partners. And on the right-hand side, you see here the upcycled goods like bags and the workshops that they conduct for their partners. In terms of sustainable financing, they revealed to me that the capital was from their own savings. Okay, the 2 ladies, they actually fork out their own saving to invest in the business. And then whatever profits that the firm make, they retain back the earnings and plow it back into the business. So they do not apply for any government grants. At the beginning, they also revealed to me that they had to sell off their jewelry to raise capital for the business. So they felt that it was something good to do for the business. And then they also generate revenues from utilizing and building strong network partners. So what they do is they usually work with corporations that have sustainability and ESG departments. So they have more than 600 network partners and supporters from government agencies up to multinational companies like Shell, Canon, Philips, Citibank, and so on. So they're really large, and they are leveraging on these network partners. So what they will issue out to their network partners, their clients will receive a certificate like this to say that, for example, ABCD company collects 500 kilogram of unwanted clothing. What is that equivalent to? So it's equivalent to 3,000 pieces of t-shirts. And what is that? What is the impact on the environment? So that is equivalent to, so-and-so's amount of CO2 or gas emissions that are avoided. So corporations want to have this certificate as a proof or evidence of their ESG practices. In terms of sustainable branding, the company believes in transparency, integrity, to build trust among customers. So they go by these values. And what the company do is that it also complements efforts by state governments on textile and cloth recycling education to the public. The company also has been accredited by many government agency bodies, and external bodies as well, like the Southeast Asia Business Award. So this is one of the ways that the firm establishes its sustainable branding. Okay, next I will go into the second case study, which is called Batik Boutique. Okay, so what is batik? I first have to explain what is batik. Batik is like a type of cloth which is uses wax and dye. So if you see the on the left hand side, that metal stamping pad, okay, that is first dipped into wax, hot wax, and stamped on the textile. After that, when it's dry, the textile will be colored using some dye. So that is actually reflects the culture and heritage of Malaysia, this batik. So this company, Batik Boutique, was established in 2011 by a woman called Amy Blair, and she's actually American. So sometimes we need a foreigner to tell us what's good about our country, so she saw the value of batik. So the philosophy is to do business and do good at the same time. She goes by these 4 Ps, which is people, profit, planet, and purpose. So among their sustainable practices is that firstly, they only use premium natural materials like cotton, cotton silk, and viscose. So batik does not work on like polyester type of materials. They only need natural materials. So they use low impact dyes as opposed to the chemical-based type of dyes, and they try to minimize waste. So after the textile are stamped with wax, that piece of cloth will be washed, and after the washing process, they will split the layers of water and wax, and they would reuse the wax, take out the wax and reuse them. And whereas the batik remnants are upcycled into small accessories and items to reduce waste. So the company also supports local community through job creation and providing training and skills, where more than 400 artisans are employed, more than 200 women are trained, and they have more than 1,700 beneficiaries. They also use sustainable packaging like eco-friendly bags and boxes. In terms of sustainable financing, the owner revealed to me that at first she used her own capital. And then she went on to getting some government grants from like the Ministry of Entrepreneur and Cooperatives, special for social enterprises. And then she also goes for the scale-up financing, which is an organization in Malaysia that helps businesses grow bigger. And they also provide mentoring for the companies through Scale Up Malaysia, and also receiving bank loan through SME Bank. So in terms of sustainable branding, she echoed the same values like Cloth Cares in the first case, where transparency, integrity, and authenticity in marketing is much valued. She also relies on customers' positive testimonials. And she also mentioned about this ESG partnership, like what I call like a quid pro quo or a win-win situation. For example, PayNet is one of a company that engages with them. So she would like subscribe to the financial services of PayNet. And at the same time, PayNet also would maybe purchase some goods from Batik Boutique. And in terms of the social impact, Batik Boutique would provide some like workshops to PayNet employees, and PayNet, to reciprocate, will provide, for example, like financial literacy programs to the artisans. So for me, it's like a win-win situation or a quid pro quo situation. And in terms of their branding, I think the accreditation, they are very proud of getting this B Corp certification, which is a global accreditation for businesses, and it's a very prestigious accreditation. This company was the 7th company in Malaysia to receive that accreditation. Apart from that, they also have other accreditations. So as a conclusion, financial decisions in a company are essential, in assisting the company to achieve the sustainable goals. So I think that both these companies have different ways in which they get their sustainable financing in whatever way that they feel is good for the business. The good values and philosophy, as I mentioned, the 5 R's and the 4 P's, I think that builds the foundation for the business. But in terms of enhancing the brand reputation, it would be through partnerships, customer relations, and accreditations. So thank you very much. Domo arigatou gozaimasu. Thank you.
シャナ先生、ありがとうございました。続きまして、ベトナムからデオカグループ取締役会長補佐、ホーチン・ズン先生にお願いしたいと思います。ズン先生は長らく大学でも教育研究に携わっておられました。よろしくお願いいたします。
こんにちは。My name is Dung, and I'm from Vietnam. So sorry for not speaking in Japanese, and just bear with me in English for 20 minutes. Okay. First, let me introduce a brief information about myself. I used to be a university lecturer. And at that time, I met Edo Sensei and Narumi Sensei. And thanks for them, I am here and very happy to share with you some information from Vietnam. So thank you very much for giving me an opportunity. And for the past 10 years, almost the past 10 years, I work for a company. That is why I understand that if you are the owner of SME, you face a very difficult, very tough job. So I highly appreciate what you have done for your own business and for the country. Thank you. And in my presentation, I'm talking about the sustainable branding for SME in Vietnam. I hope I can bring the picture from Vietnam and you can have some information useful for you for your business. In the next 20 minutes, I will give you some kind of introduction and a brief importance of sustainable branding, and then some information about the current state of a sustainable branding among SMEs in Vietnam. And then I would like to recommend you some key strategy for developing a sustainable branding in Vietnam and in general. Maybe you can apply in Japan. And finally, conclusion. Maybe you know about what is the sustainable branding. But by the way, I would like to refer very quick about that. But before that, before that, I would like to give you a very surprise picture about Vietnam. Even there's a growing awareness about the sustainable or sustainability. But in Vietnam now, there is still extensive use of plastic. And we also face a waste management issue. This caused a lot of trouble for our city like Hanoi and Ho Chi Minh City. It blocked the way for the water, and it caused the flooding in such city. And Vietnam also among one of the top contributor for ocean plastic waste. So that's not really good for us. Anyway, so the government and the customer or the people, Vietnamese people, growing aware of this problem. So this comes for the need for sustainable branding. So sustainable branding, as I understand, is the process of integrating environmental, social, and governance principles into a brand's identity, operation, and communication strategy. It means an enterprise develop or communicate a brand, but emphasize the sustainability into or throughout the operation and product design or production. So with this, my objective today is to give you an overview of what sustainable branding and share with you some practical tips or strategy and an example because of time constraint for a successful sustainable branding initiative implemented by SME in Vietnam. With that, I hope I can inspire you to take action for or embrace sustainability as a core value and a strategic priority for your own business. Now let's look at the importance of sustainable branding. There are three main issues here. And let's start with consumer trends. As you know, after the COVID-19 pandemic, and the world among many countries recently, it is really difficult to predict a trend, right? And some people say that it's impossible to predict a trend. Anyway, I give you some hint of trend here. Is for Vietnamese. Yeah, first one is the awareness of environmental need. So Vietnamese consumer now aware of the need for protect environment. As you know, in 2016, in Vietnam, we have a problem with the toxic waste untreated by a plant, steel plant. They discharge the waste into the sea and create a disaster. So thousands of the fishermen life will be affected because the fish will die. So after that disaster, the government and the Vietnamese consumer understand that the environment is very important. So younger generation, they are more aware of that. and they admire or put high priority for the environmental issue. And for those enterprise use that, they can use that as the brand differentiation. So they can put themselves different from the other, from the left. Okay, so that's kind of trend. And for the government policy and initiative, I will mention it about this. The other thing is to create about the need for the environment is the regulatory landscape. It comes from inside and come from outside of Vietnam. From inside, the government or the Congress issue a law, like law on environmental protection, or they create a strategy on green growth at the national level. And also, we have a strategy for Vietnam's national climate change. So all this kind of typical I'm named here, but there are a lot more law for environment. And also is create the need to follow the law strictly to protect the environment. If you don't obey, you have to pay. In terms of international regulation and agreement, so Vietnam is the party to sign Paris Agreement or to follow the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals that Sanan Sensei just mentioned. And also the Vietnam join many free trade agreements that also require Vietnam to implement environmental protection. And the last point here is the business benefit. When an enterprise, as SME in Vietnam, they do the sustainable branding, they can get the business benefit like competitive advantages. They can have a brand differentiation. For those who value, they put the value for the environmental protection or social responsibility or minimizing the carbon footprint. So they will appreciate such SME who do the sustainable branding. And they will create the trust in the customer, and the customer will be loyal to those brands. And for risk management, because of the rule of the regulation and the law. So if you do sustainable branding, you will avoid, or it will be ahead of the law, and you can avoid the risk to get the penalty from the government. All right. Now, I give you some information about the current state of sustainable branding among SMEs in Vietnam. First, Vietnamese SME are integrating the sustainable branding into their branding strategy, right? And let's say they adopt more about the eco-friendly practices. It means they use sustainable materials and they reduce the waste. They apply the label waste more fair to the label, okay? And they engage. For the second part is they engage the community. to their action. It means they do it transparency. They let the community know what they do, and they invite the community to participate in what they have done, or they provide the support to the local community, charitable job, for example, and they try to get certification to prove that they care about the environment. For example, ISO 14001. It means I have to care about the environment, right? Nevertheless, SME in Vietnam still face many challenges. I just put here 3 very typical ones. The first one is limited resources. Probably limited resources is normal for SME all over the world. But in Vietnam, they often have very tight budgets and limited access to the financial resources. This could be very tough for those who try to invest in the technology, sustainable technology that require upfront capital. Okay. The second one is lack of knowledge. There are many enterprise owners, they don't exactly know what the sustainability means. What does it mean? And they also don't have enough human resources who have a capability to run the business in sustainable way. And also they don't have information about the sustainable, how to run the enterprise sustainably. And finally is market barrier. Let me say one thing is, even though the growing need or the growing awareness among the customer, but the mass market need for the sustainable product is still emerging in Vietnam. So it means just few or only small number of customers accept the sustainable branding actually. Anyway, there are still some company succeed with sustainable branding in Vietnam. Let me give you one example, one case study. The name is Mekong Quill, and this is one social enterprise acting for sustainable employment of underprivileged women in Vietnam by creating high quality product. Okay, let me show you the product. Yeah, this is their product. And let's move on to the reason why they succeed. First, it do the job with a kind of community. Thus, they are the women in the rural area, and they offer or the providing the employment opportunity for those women, and with the fair wages. So by doing that, by supporting that, they help such kind of community to get poverty reduction, and also develop that community. All right. So social impact. And the second one is they they preserve the traditional quilting technique. So it means they promote and preserve the cultural identity of this kind of local places. And also they use eco-friendly material. For example, recycled fabrics, like the case from Malaysia, right? And with that, they reduce the waste and they increase the efficiency of production. So they minimize the carbon footprint. So they protect the environment. Okay. So now let's move on to the some recommendation for the key strategy for developing a sustainable brand. Let me start with the internal practice. As SME, you should think about integrate the sustainability into your business operation. Okay. So first, energy resource efficiency, and then waste management, and employee training and engagement. Sorry for just keep you short, but even because of time constraint, I would like to talk about which one is more important. Which one is more important, right? If you need to build the culture for your company, for your enterprise, for the sustainable branding, maybe employee and training and engagement is the most important thing. All right. And in case of your company or your enterprise has a very high impact to environment. So maybe you need to think about the energy and resource efficiency and waste management. All right. And the second one is to integrate the sustainability into a product design. Not only the operation, but the product design also, right? So you need to think about using the sustainable material. You can recycle it, you can reuse it, right? And so when you have a good product design, you can have production but with minimize or minimum waste. Okay, and if you use the durable or long-time product, so design for longevity and recyclability. Also, you need to integrate sustainability into supply chain management. This one is very complicated because it's very hard for you to control your supply chain system. You can think about start with supply selection based on the practice in environmental and social responsibility, right? And also develop sustainable procurement policy. You need to be transparency and collaboration with your supplier and customer. And finally, you need to monitor and improvement your process. Okay. Marketing and communication is also very important, especially when you implement sustainable branding. What you do is important, of course, but what your customer understand and what the society understand and empathize with you is more important. So you need to think about how to communicate your sustainable brand. All right. So sorry for not having time to talk about that. And finally, I reach a conclusion is sustainability is not just a trend, but is a strategic imperative for SME in Vietnam, and probably for you yourself also. And the potential benefit of sustainable branding is huge, a lot. You can have differentiation, and you can have advantages such as a reputation for your brand and loyal customer. And the SME should prioritize sustainability in your branding strategy. And I hope that with such kind of thing, you can think about that more seriously. And I wish you succeed with your next action with the sustainable branding. So thank you very much for your time and listening.
ズン先生、ありがとうございました。続きまして、タイから、チュラルンコン大学、チュラルンコンビジネススクール講師、ポンタナラート・クリスティ先生、よろしくお願いします。
Good morning, everyone. And this will be the last presentation before we proceed to the break that you have been waiting. Thanks to Professor Shanaz and Professor Sung. I think they have provided a very good background of sustainable branding and sustainable finance. So today I will focus mainly about the cases from Thailand. So hope it will be provide you some insights about sustainable branding. Before I start my lecture, let me introduce myself a little bit. I actually spent 8 years in Japan in Kobe University. I'm very familiar with inoshishi, the whiteboards, and I graduated marketing. After graduation from Japan, from Kobe University, I went back to Thailand and teach marketing at Chulalongkorn Business School, the oldest business school in Thailand for 10 years. And I also published around 10 books. All of them are about Japan, like Rinen or Omotenashi. So this is like Japanese ways of thinking. That is my main passion. And 7 years ago, I opened a seminar class for SME business owners called Rinen. It's actually a Japanese word, business philosophy. And all of my students are SME owners. So I listen to their challenges and the way they grow. So I think today my story could be something useful for you. Today I will talk about what large companies normally do. What we actually learn in marketing textbook is actually applied for, I think, large companies. But there are some limitations for SMEs. So what we can do. We will learn from the first case, the mixed juice brand called Pukpan. And then I will summarize 3 key success factors for SME sustainable branding. And there will be one factor that is very important for SME. So I'll introduce in the second case, the case of Sivatel Hotel in Bangkok, the urban hotel. So let's start. Imagine that you have a lot of money, imagine, you may have a lot of money, but imagine we are large companies. How can large company do sustainable branding? This is Central Department Store in Thailand. Think about Mitsukoshi or Isetan. They are really into SDGs recently and opened the new store in the sustainable concept. All of the products are handcrafted and made by the villagers in the suburban area. So the store looks super nice, decoration very professional, and it looked very attractive. And they built this within 1 year, very fast. What big companies normally have? They have resources, a lot of skills, networks with other companies. They have experience. Like in this case, they have experience in retailing business before. And the very important thing, money. They have a lot of money that they can hire any professionals. They can invest and grow so fast. Of course, they can do advertisement, PR events a lot. And last but not least, they have political power. They may influence some policies to slow it down or make it faster. As SMEs, I'm not sure how many of you are SMEs, working in SMEs. What do we have? Sound a little bit hopeless when we fight with big company. I interview a lot of SMEs, and this one is a leading successful case for me. The brand is called Puk Pan. Puk mean grow, and Pan, they have two meanings. One is mixing, like mixed juice, and another meaning mean ride a bike. That is the name, Puk Pan. The sales of Puk Pan is 90 million yen, still very small. The number of employees are 20, less than 20s, and they established around 10 years ago. So how do they grow, and how are they successful in sustainable branding? Let's start from the purpose of this brand. The purpose of Puk Pan is better health, better world. The owner got sick so hard that she needs to rethink about the way she eat and the way she sleep. So she's very passionate about using organic products in healing herself. The core products of Puk Pan is the fresh mixed juice. But this brand wants to help not only consumers to get better health, but also want to help farmers and the earth. Everything in this brand is very environmental friendly, which we'll see later. Now, let's first starting from seeing how Puk Pan helped the organic farmers and help the consumers. This is the products of this brand. So they use organic vegetables and fruits, more than 200 types in 1 year. Imagine big companies do not do like this because it is so hard to get a lot of variety of fruits or seasonal vegetables. But because they are small, they can do. And they will mix in the morning, make it fresh, and deliver to your door. What does big company do? They make juice and they sell for around 2 or 3 days because they want to make a big lot. And the product shelf need to be a little bit longer, right? But because SME, she can do this. And they did not sell individual package. They sell in a course 21 days. Why? They believe that if you do something for 21 days, you can change your habit. That's psychological theory. The cost per course is 15,000 yen, which means that 700 yen per cup. The cup is around 600 milliliters. Do you think it's expensive? A little bit takai, right? Quite expensive, but consumers love it because when they drink, the materials are so good. And there's finding that you will catch a cold less. Or some who have cancer disease, they got recovered a little bit better. So this is the effect that the consumers really appreciate this brand. Fresh, good, organic. How can we be good to the earth about environmental friendly? Well, in Thailand, we are famous for traffic jam and we use a lot of cars. But Puk Pan, they would deliver very early morning from 4 to 8 a.m. by bicycle. Even on the rainy day, they will try to use bicycle because they don't want to make environment burden like CO2 emission. And they will hang this orange bag in front of your doors. And if you open the package, this is the glass bottles. If you consider in logistic term, it is quite heavy, right? The glass. Why don't they use plastic or paper cup? Again, because they want to reduce waste. So the burden falls to consumers that they need to wash and return these glass bottles every day. But once consumers understand the purpose of Puk Pan, they really feel passionate about this brand as well, and they are willing to help them. If the customers want to drink and throw it away, Puk Pan will even decline the consumers. The brand is so strong in the way that they want to do the business. And this reflects in the way they do branding. Because it is SME, they don't have a lot of marketing budget. They only have the Facebook fan page, and this is what it looked like. It's quite cute. So they show the ingredients or sometimes provide a health tips like how should you sleep, how should you eat. And to make existing customers feel excited, they launch seasonal products. It's totally included in your drinking course. Like in Valentine's Day, they put the rose in the drink. So customers who drink it, continuously drinking it for 4 years, 5 years. For me personally, I have been drinking Puk Pan for 4 years already, and it's really good for my health. I'm very strong. Well, how could this unique model happen? Why won't big companies tap into this area? The founder of Puk Pan called Miss Jang Sirilak. She was a packaging designer. She worked so hard that she got a very unhealthy lifestyle. And that's why she needed to stop doing designing work and start to take care of her health. And her hobby is a bicycle rider. She's a bicyclist, and she even formed a circle of bicyclists in Bangkok. She is a passionate learner, so when she got sick, she doesn't just want to recover, but she asked the doctors, she asked professionals and see how are there any other way to heal her disease or not. And she got recovered at last. So with all these partners, the organic farmers that she came across when she took a lot of health courses, when she learned how to cure herself, she know the packaging suppliers who help her redesign the glass bottles that we saw earlier. And of course, with the bicyclists, Miss Zhang wants to help the environment, but she doesn't know about logistics. Once she popped up an idea that, oh yeah, I ride a bicycle and I have a lot of friends who want to practice riding bicycle in the morning. So she asked them whether they want to join as a part-time job or not. And a lot of her friends are willing to help her. So with all this help from these different partners, this business could happen. And all of this linked to the single purpose of Ms. Zhang, better health, better world. So from the case of Pukpan, what can we see? There are actually 3 key success factors that I summarized. First one, Pukpan was able to find and focus on the right customers. The customers are people who are health conscious or got a disease, and they really care about their health. They are willing to spend 700 yen per cup, not just a drink for delicious, but for their health. Second, they could execute their purpose in every detail because they care about the world. They use glass bottles. They even decline the customers who do not care about environment friendly. That's how she is very serious and try to do this in every detail, from food selection, material selection, the way she make the juice, and the way she deliver. So all the consumers totally understand her mission and try to, and she cannot serve the mass market, but she find the customers who click with her. In marketing textbook, the first one is called targeting strategy, of course, and the second one is brand positioning. But you need to be true to your brand position in every detail because big companies cannot do like that. Big companies may do organic fruit drink, but they may not care about logistic costs. But because you're small, you can pay a lot of attention to the details. And the third one, the most important one for SMEs, is Ms. Zhang is successfully utilizing social capital. This term may be quite unique or quite new for some of you. What is social capital? Social capital means the value we derive from positive connections between people. We have connections with family, employees, friends at work, and how we can use these connections to our work. To make it clearer, let me give you another example of, this is a service business. It's called Sivatel Bangkok. This hotel was established 15 years ago, and the location is in Plunjit area, the downtown city in Bangkok. And if you take a look at the map, it was surrounded by other luxurious hotels like Okura, Hotel Okura, or Rosewood Hotel, or Plaza Athene, or Landmark Hotel. All other brands in the green circle are foreign luxurious brands. But Sivatel is Thai origin luxurious brand. How can local brand fight with other luxurious hotels? And the sad thing is, look at the hotel room. It looks okay, but not that gorgeous, okay, as much as we expected. How can this brand differentiate itself from luxury hotels with international brand with a lot of money and power? The owner actually is a 3rd generation, and she was very passionate about environment. So she utilized sustainability as her differentiating point. Starting from this one, city farming. On the rooftop of the hotel, they plant a lot of fruits and vegetables, and they even invite the hotel guests to have a tour or pick up the herb or vegetables. So the hotel guests are very enjoying in these activities. And what would they do with the vegetable that they put it on the urban of its urban farming? They use it in the restaurants on the first floor. So people, consumers can enjoy organic salad, organic soup, grilled chicken. But they cannot use all the vegetables in the restaurant. They are higher demand. So they also order meat and other vegetable types, local vegetables from other areas as well. But they want to further support the organic farmers. So they open the small organic product store next to the restaurant. Hotel guests can do some shopping, like they can buy rice and bring back home as a gift souvenir. But not only that, the hotel owners starting to know other organic farmers, other craft business owners, other vendors. So every month they organize an event, small event called Sustainable Market from Friday to Sunday. So 3 days per month. And this attract not only hotel guests, of course, but they can attract Bangkok people like me as well to go and make a shopping there. And after we go to the market, you can have lunch or dinner at the restaurant as well. So in this way, the customer base of Sivatel Hotel starting to growing more and more, and they are so clear in communicating that sustainability to other customers. And for the internal part, they also joined the West Bank project where they try to reduce zero waste project. They try to reduce the number of waste, like food waste. They use the fertilizer and put it on the city farming. So it's like a cycle, okay? Food waste, fertilizer, plant it on the trees, on the vegetable, in the rooftop, and then serve in the restaurant. So it's very good circular or ecosystem. Now, how could this model happen? Of course, Sivatel heavily utilized social capital to create value. Not sure whether you realize how many of them. Let's start from this one. They have a lot of partners with organic farmers who plant vegetables or grow chickens or pork. And they have sustainable product vendors. Some of them do crafted products. And they work with food waste NPOs. And because they're so successful in doing sustainable tourism, sometimes they work with Thai government and provide a lecture to tourism associations. So how working with these, utilizing this social capital network, provide value to Sivatel Hotel? For organic farmers, Sivatel Hotel can serve very interesting food in the cafe and organic store, which make their hotel guests feel happy. For sustainable product vendors, they organize a monthly market which entertain the hotel guests and people, the tourists nearby, and of course, Bangkok people. For food waste NPOs, they joined the West Bank project and got a certification of green certification. And this even made the hotel become more famous. Because if you go to the OTA website like TripAdvisor, and Sivatel Hotel got the sustainability mark. So if you are a sustainable tourist, you search for these kind of hotels in Bangkok and Sivatel become #1. Last but not least, when they give the training or speeches to government training, other hotels, they become well known and they get very good insight about tourism policy from the government, which means that in the past, only big hotels can gain this information. But because Sivatel helped the government, they are important in building the policy for Thai society as well. As you can see that if they stay in the hotel, if Sivatel only focus in the hotel business, they will try to decorate the room, try to serve better food. But once they work with a lot of partners, they have a lot of events that attract hotel guests. So how can we accumulate social capital? After we see that it's very important. I think first of all, we need to be clear with our purpose. What does our brand stand for? And try to participate like online seminar, class, MBA program in HBMS, for example, that can help you to link with your purpose. And try to find the partners that may come from different industry. For example, Honda collaborate with Sony in developing EV, that kind of things. And the second thing you need to be careful is not every social capital may be useful for SME. There are 2 types of social capital. The first one is strong Thai. social capital. So strong time in people you regularly interact with, like your employees, the vendors that you need to talk with them, send emails to them every week or every month. The second type is weak tie, people you barely interact, lower level of intimacy. So maybe for my case, sorry, Professor Edo, but you're my weak tie because we have email maybe once a year, but he provide me a very good job here, like this seminar, okay? So utilize weak tie social capital will help you to gain access to new information and opportunities. Like for me, can come to Hiroshima, thanks to him. So try to think who are your weak tie, maybe people in the different industry, people in your same MBA class, or people in the circle when you're in your university students. Are there anything that you can collaborate together with them or not? In this way, you will gain access to new information and opportunities. To summarize, what are the key success factors that we should build in sustainable branding for SMEs? First of all, find and focus on the right customers. Who will be passionate? Who will be happy to hear your purpose and buy the products from you? Second, execute your purpose in every details. Put the details as much as possible. Third one, utilize social capital, especially the weak tie. So I have only 20 minutes, but I'm very happy to talk with you during the Q&A session or maybe during the break. Thank you very much for your listening.
ケイト先生、ありがとうございました。前半のレクチャーパート、最後の方になります。駒澤大学、経営学部市場戦略学科教授、青木茂樹先生、サステイナブルブランド国際会議のアカデミックプロデューサーも務められております。で、今日はデンマークからオンラインでご参加いただいております。青木先生、よろしくお願いいたします。
Okay. Yes, thank you very much for inviting me to the HBMS session today. My name is Shigeki Aoki, and I'm currently a visiting researcher at Aalborg University in Denmark. In Japan, I'm lecturing on distribution systems theory and marketing channel strategy at Komazawa University. Please allow me to introduce myself a little bit. Komazawa University is an educational institution founded in 1592 by Zen temple called the Soto sect. I am a visiting scholar. I'm a business scholar, but ideas such as minimalism, meditation, and mindfulness are familiar to me at Komazawa University. And I am also the academic producer of Sustainable Brand International Conference in Tokyo. The 8th conference was held at the Tokyo International Forum last week, and over 5,000 participants gathered over 2 days. I also serve as the director of the NBO Yamanashi Cycling Project, which aims to revitalize mountainous local areas, riding a road bike through nature while looking at Mount Fuji, bathing in the hot springs, and eating local seasonal food with Yamanashi Koshu wine is pure happiness. In 2 days, 1,000 customers came to a small village and enjoyed themselves. All of my background is related to the research I will be presenting today. I would like to talk about the generic concept of sustainable branding. This chart represents the overall structure of sustainable branding. That's all I want to say today. The red circle 1 is the company's external environment. The square 2, the blue square 2, the internal environment of the company. The green triangle 3 meditates or studies thinking between the external and the internal environments. One expert says that sustainable issues are like a dynamic explosion. I remember 9 years ago, the plastic straw that was stuck in a turtle nose suddenly attracted attention all over the world. human rights issues like Black Lives Matter and the harassment in the Japanese entertainment industry suddenly became hot topics. It's kind of the dynamic explosion. You don't know what's going to happen next. And there are no final form and answer when it comes to sustainability issues. Therefore, companies must always have a strategy to deal with this. First of all, I'd like to ask you why you are working on the sustainability at your company. One person said it's an international rules, so we have to do something about it. Another said, our company has been planting trees in the mountains for a long time. Another said, young people say the company has to do something good for society. It is an important recruitment strategy. On the other hand, salesperson say, sustainability doesn't sell. And the finance department says, sustainability is a cost center after all. It doesn't generate profit. Many people say it's because a CEO told them to do sustainability. But I think the thinking on the ground is disjointed and confusing. I would like to use this chart to clear up the confusion. You can see the red circle one is the external environment of the company. On the left, there are problems like global warming, decarbonization. On the right, there are changes in international rules or accreditation, like a CDP, Carbon Disclosure Project, GRI, Global Reporting Initiatives, and the ISSB, International Sustainability Standards Board, etc. Furthermore, as shown below, there are also transformation of management philosophy, such as circular economy or regeneration. On the other hand, as shown in the blue square 2 within the company departments, such as HR, human resources, IR, investor relations, marketing department, production management, respond strategically to the external environment. I'd like to ask you again why you are working on sustainability at your department. What is important here is the 3 classification of strategy. There are 3 meditated strategy thought in green square 3. Oh, green triangle 3, sorry. Sometimes people will say that the reason they work on sustainability is it's because it's a business rule. Look at the bottom right. This is called the zero standard, legal standard approved by public institutions such as ISO, CDP, or GRI. In particular, the EU and the European countries lead the world by creating and changing the rules. We, especially Asian countries, must follow suit. Automobile exhaust gas regulations and the shift to EVs, electric vehicle, are example of this. The zero standard is a common practice for companies to report rating, figures, certifications, accreditations, etc., to their stakeholders, especially shareholders, form of IR and sustainability reports. The EU, in particular, is often the rule maker. Look at the bottom left. Here is the factor standard. This is also the case with American sustainable brands I work with, whose strategy is to enter the market early to gain market share, thereby becoming the de facto standard. This is an American idea, where marketing was born. In the US, Tesla and Patagonia are typical examples. In JSBI, Japan Sustainable Brand Index, that we investigated, Ryohin Keikaku, it is called MUJI, ranked the first out of about 300 companies in Japan. MUJI can be said to the de facto standard in the retail industry. So the reason why companies promote sustainability is because there are rules, because you wanted to control the market. This all since 1980s, MUJI has questioned the business model of mass production, mass distribution, mass consumption, and mass disposal. In response to advertising a message from companies such as "this is good" and "this is popular," MUJI always focused on the value judgment customers who can decide this is enough. This spirit comes from Japanese nature, worshipping animism, Buddhist thinking, and minimalism. The world of Hayao Miyazaki, the famous anime director, also expressed this. I named this the spiritual standard. I believe that there is a spiritual sense of value that desires a sustainable and regenerative world from deep within our hearts, not based on rules and profits. The spiritual standard is a word I coined from Latin. Spiritual standards include their corporate philosophy, mission statement, and their purpose. By the way, in Denmark, spiritus means alcohol. Just this is good. I can sympathize with each other while drinking. Triangle 3 is meditate, strategic thinking, and when each department strategically responds to sustainable environment changes by sorting out whether the purpose is de jure, de facto, or the spiritual standard. It is necessary to prevent the confusion within the company and immerse understanding in the company or market. Here, we refer to sustainable branding as aiming to improve the brand value and of a company as a whole is a focus on purpose. And sustainable marketing refers to the development of the sustainable product or services to the market based on the concept. The idea of social marketing emerged in the 1970s during the pollution and the energy crisis all over the world. The vertical axis is the sales and the profit, and the horizontal axis is the social impact. Marketing is the concept of maximizing economies of scale to obtain sales and profit. And the vertical upward arrow corresponds to this concept. Kotler and Levy, the social marketing proposed applying the effective marketing ideas and tools to non-profit organizations to increase their social impact. This is indicated by the light pointing arrow on the right of the diagram. On the other hand, Laser and Kelly always argued that companies should fulfill their social responsibilities and contributions while making profit, and this was called societal marketing. In this figure, it is an arrow diagonally to the upper right. Today's sustainable marketing, like societal marketing, is about balancing corporate profit with social and environmental considerations. So, how is sustainable marketing different from societal marketing? The 17th goal of the SDGs lies in the partnership and collaboration with others. So I added the axis of collaboration. There's a limit to what a single company can do to solve environmental and social issues. And in today's world, where information is networked globally, we need to collaborate to proactively solve problems while increasing sales. Yellow-black arrows in the 3D can be called sustainable marketing. Denmark, where I live now, has a population of 5.8 million, which is only 1/20 of Japan. This is small size and maneuverability will lead to the effort to move away from fossil fuels by 2050, switch to green energy, such as wind power generation and biomass fuel, to actively promote initiatives such as switching from private cars to bicycle and public transportations. They have been promoting a green transformation. The same goes for companies, and compared to the complexity of decision making at large companies, SMEs should demonstrate their strength in their speed and agility. And as an example collaboration between SMEs, let me introduce the challenges of KOJ, Koshi of Japan. It is known that Japanese sake and Japanese whiskey are highly regarded, but there is actually Koshi wine that has been certified by the OIV, International Organization of Wine and Wine, as a grape variety unique to Japan. This grape crossed the Silk Road 1300 years ago and took root in Japan. And winemaking began 150 years ago. Until then, the aim was produce wine using Western grapes. But in 1987, the Katsunuma Wineries Club was established with the aim of producing high-quality wine from Koshu and preserving the landscape. Meanwhile, Civic Pride Salon was started in 2004 by young people who returned to Yamanashi Prefecture after working in Tokyo. And they focused on the uniqueness of Koshu wine. In 2006, a wine tourism program was organized with assistance from Yamanashi Prefecture and Yamanashi Kotsu Bus, which attracted 2,000 participants who visited 30 wineries. Visitors took photos of grape farms and wine warehouses, which are commonplace in the local area, and posted their conversation with winemakers on social media. This was a fresh surprise for local residents and volunteers alike. This caught the attention of the Japanese Cabinet Office, and the project AOJ, Koshu of Japan, was started to export Koshu wine to the world. Collaboration between the winery, farmers, local residents, volunteers, and local government, the partnership created new experiences and led to an export project. I call this kind of collaboration cross-value strategy. This is the creation of regional value through a horizontal value chain rather than a vertical value chain. Cross-value, which takes advantage of geographical proximity between regions and works together to create values, is effective. We need a banner that cuts across vertically divided organizations like companies, local government, NPOs, residents, universities, and customers. It's kind of social capital. Critini told us. And they can join forces under the banner. We will deepen our communication by complementing each other through face-to-face place communication and cyberspace communication. We are creating an innovative system that supports customers in solving life issues and making decisions, and we provide experiences that customers can achieve spontaneously. Therefore, I investigated companies in Italy, Denmark, and Japan regarding the three standards and vertical collaboration and horizontal collaboration. The reason why Italian companies promote sustainability is not de jure or de spiritus, but rather they tended to adopt the de facto standard, and there is a tendency to be ambitious. The reason why Danish companies are promoting sustainability is that if the jure standard, they are promoting vertical collaboration. This shows the serious nature of Danish people. Regarding the reason why Japanese company promotes sustainability, de jure and de spiritus, they are both low, and the de facto standard is slightly high. Furthermore, vertical and horizontal collaboration are also low, indicating a tendency to promote sustainability only within the company. SME have a higher level of sustainability than a large enterprise in terms of the de jure standard and the spiritus standard and the de facto standard. And it seems that they have less leeway to form horizontal collaboration. A summary of the sustainable branding on SEMs. One, there is a confusion as to why companies promote sustainability. Based on the purpose, there should be a consensus within the company as to where strategy should be placed, de jure, de facto, or the spiritus standard. Two, the difference between the societal and the sustainable marketing is that they aim to solve problems by collaborating with others. Three, Koshiwari is an example of creating experimental value in the region through the collaboration with others, which is called cross-value strategy. Small countries and companies have a flexibility, agility that large countries and companies cannot imitate. Or, when we compare the sustainable branding of SMEs in Italy, Denmark, and Japan, we found that they tended to have higher points in trade standards than large companies. But there were also cases where cross-value was not being implemented. Further research will explore the reason for this. Five, not only we obey the Western rules or regulations, but we could make the sustainable rules from Asia. Climate and the geographical factors are different from the Western environment. For example, organic agricultural rules might be different in each area. Thank you very much for the opportunity to present this wonderful session today. Thank you for listening.
青木先生、ありがとうございました。デンマーク、朝7時半。打ち合わせ含めて5時ぐらいからご準備いただいてますね。青木先生、ありがとうございます。じゃあ、これで前半の部、終了となります。じゃあ、そろそろ時間になりますので、後半のパート始めたいと思います。前半のレクチャーに引き続いて、ケット先生、ズン先生、シャナン先生にご登壇いただきます。で、もう1名ゲストの方をお招きしてます。広島県福山市にて創業400年を迎える、和菓子屋さん、株式会社虎屋本舗代表取締役、高田海人さんにも加わっていただきます。で、4時、大体20分ぐらいめどですね。多少時間はオーバーしても大丈夫だと思いますけども、モデレーターは本学専攻長の江戸勝恵先生にお願いしたいと思います。じゃあ、江戸先生お願いいたします。
はい、本当は日本語で喋ればいいんだろうけど、many of the people are speaking English, so I'll moderate my session in English. So first of all, I think we should have a brief introduction of the company Toraya Honpo. Can you give a brief introduction of what kind of sustainability actions you are doing and what kind of business are you doing right now? In Japanese, it's okay.
First, I apologize. Speak in Japanese. はい、すいません。僕、全然、和菓子屋なので、日本語で、はい、日本文化を扱っているので、日本語で話させていただきます。まず、今日皆さんいらしていただいてありがとうございます。そして、お呼びいただいてありがとうございます。改めまして、虎屋本舗の17代目をしております、高田海道と申します。下の名前が、海の道と書いて、海道と言います。私どもは、福山市というところでして、羊羹の虎屋さんとはちょっと成り立ちが違うんですが、約403年前に福山城のお殿様と一緒に、海鮮問屋、貿易業ですね、貿易業を、やっておりまして、でそこで始まったのが、我々虎屋本舗という、名前の、今はおまんじゅう、どら焼き、八朔大福など、そういった和菓子を作っております。いわゆるそのお土産とか、お菓子という中でもやっぱり地元密着型の、菓子屋をしておりまして、江戸先生、や日月さんからもご紹介いただいたんですけども、私どもが行っている SDGs 事業の一つとしては、ずっと前、10年ぐらい前からですね、私、地元の公民館とか山間部の学校とかにですね、和菓子教室を出張で行ったりしてるんですね。でそんな中、瀬戸内の離島に呼ばれて、そこに行ってみたら、まあ、小学校4、5人ぐらいしかいないんですよ。で、島にしかないフルーツとかを使ってお菓子を作ってくれって言われて、でそこからきっかけで、その島を巡る和菓子キャラバンっていうのを、行いまして、2019年に外務省の、SDGs アワードをいただいたという経緯でございます。そこからですね、我々その単に、僕が社長になって2年目になるんですけども、その時に、パーパスとして伝えたのが、和菓子を商いするんじゃなくて、これからは日本文化を商いとしようということを、明確なメッセージとして、今、事業回ししているところでございます。はい。
Thank you very much. He was talking about what he has been doing, especially the culture and the Japanese wagashi culture. Not just environmental actions, but also, social and cultural actions that he's doing. He has introduced us. Maybe it might be a very, very important hint for pathways for the SMEs. So let's have the session. First of all, probably the three, maybe the four, have realized some similarities, some differences with each country's status, situations, economically, and of course socially. Ways of be concerning about sustainability. First, let me ask Dr. Zun, have any comments about what you have realized? It's okay. Okay, it's okay.
Thank you, Dr. Edo. There are a lot, but anyway, I think my time, I would like to focus on one thing. I see the similarity between Thailand, even Japan, and Vietnam and Malaysia is transparency. Transparency. You need to make clear what you do to your supplier, to your customer, and even to the government. And you share the detail. And for example, in Malaysia, they know the origin of the fabric, right? And also in Vietnam, and how your goods is made, and what you support your community, local community, and how you support the economic development of the local one is very important. So the first similarity is transparency. Thank you.
Very nice. What about you, Kate?
I think thanks to Shana's sensei's research, I think the score of our countries, 3 countries, Vietnam, Malaysia, Thailand, are quite similar. And I think we have a lot of room to improve about SDGs. In case of Thailand, I think big companies have a lot of influence on SDGs because they do a lot and they are very active, and that force SMEs to follow it as well. Because if you don't have the SDGs mark, you cannot do marketing, you cannot promote your brand that much. And the government also push it, like we need to do something green as well. For SMEs in Thailand, I don't know about in other countries, maybe you can share later, we got a lot of pressure from foreign countries. In the past, we were the OEM companies for famous brands like H&M or Zara, IKEA, for example. But when these companies, global companies, turn into green or do some SDGs company, it forces the suppliers, which is the companies in Thailand, to obey it as well. So for SMEs that can adapt their technology and their process, something, they can still get the order from global brands. But for those who cannot adapt themselves, for example, they cannot get the B mark or some certification from global organization, they started to fail, some collapse. That is what actually happened in company side. In consumer side, I think we Thai people, we care more about environment, especially young people. I think I have a discussion with Shana Sensei before, and I think we share similar things, that young people mean Generation Z, younger generation than me. Gen Z started to think, oh, I want to use paper bag, I want to use eco bag. But for older generation, it is quite difficult to change that perception. There's a research that tells that 75% of Thai consumers are caring more about SDGs, which I think not that true. I mean, it's a research by UN, and I think they focus on only Bangkok people, but people in suburban area may still are not aware that much about environment, ESG or SDG. So there's a big gap in Thailand. Bangkok may be close to Japan, but suburban area may be huge different.
I see. Thank you very much. What about you, Shanas?
Okay, thank you, Professor Ido. So in terms of similarity, I really benefited from everyone's presentation, including Professor Aoki online. I think one of the similarity that I see is in terms of the strategy undertaken. I mentioned about ESG partnerships. Kate mentioned about social capital. That's another big word that I learned about today. But I think there are similarities. And Professor Aoki mentioned about collaboration with others. So I think it's going on the same spirits of collaborating and partnerships with businesses or other stakeholders that have similar goals, on ESG. So I think that's really important, and I see the similarities in the strategies that sustainable brands are doing. Another sort of similarity that I picked up was from Professor Zung on the national strategy on green growth in Vietnam. So Malaysia also has this Malaysia Green Technology Master Plan, which is a long-term plan where Malaysia is also heading towards, becoming a green economy. So I'm sure that probably in Thailand or even in Japan, I'm not sure whether you have similar sort of master plan, but that's another similarity that I observed today.
Okay, thank you very much. 海藤さん、何か気がついたことってございますか？
はい、まず一つ、今の皆さんのお話を伺った限り、僕は中小企業として呼ばれているのは、中小企業の立場として申し上げすればですね、SDGs を今後のそのイノベーションの種にできうるかどうかっていうのは、結構各中小企業さん頭悩まされているところだと思うんですね。そもそも 綺麗事じゃなくてですね、その SDGs というのは今後新しいマーケットを作りうる、新しい、イノベーションの種として、事業を進化させるということだと思うんですけども、そこにはもちろん、キャッシュフローがあったりとかですね、あとはすごく今日勉強になったストレングス・オブ・ウィークタイですよね。昔の、弱いつながりの、強さの理論っていうところなんですけども、やっぱり、私どものその和菓子教室に関しても、やっぱりなんでしょう、世代間のそのブランディングをこう教育させてるっていうことなんですよ。子どもたちにやっぱりそれに職人になってほしいし、言ってみれば障害顧客になってほしいからやってるということなので、決してそのきれい事ではなくて、そこから通じてまた新しいその、和菓子の形っていうのを、ブランディングとして作り得るかどうか、ここが今残りの2030年に向かって岐論に立ってるんじゃないかなと思います。
はい、thank you very much. What about the differences? Maybe Kate said some difference, but Dr. Zun, what about the differences that you realize?
One of the differences I realize is the awareness. The awareness. Yeah. I agree that the younger generation, they are more aware of the need for sustainable. But for the SME, I don't have the number to support my argument, but I share my own experience. For SME in Vietnam, there are different generations. And for the older generation, they are hesitate or they are reluctant to implement the sustainable practices because of the awareness. And I personally think that the awareness is low with such kind of people. So maybe in Thailand and in Malaysia is much more higher. And they more proactive in implement such kind of thing.
Dr. Zun, do you mean that the management, the older management team, management CEOs are not so aware of sustainability in Vietnam?
Yeah.
But in contrast, if they are younger generations, the CEOs, the management team are a little bit more aware of sustainability.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Is that the thing? Okay.
Yeah.
What about in Thailand and?
I'm not sure about the situation in Malaysia and Vietnam, but I came to Japan very often, like 2 months once in 2 months. So I saw very active activities of Japanese brands and consumers awareness. Like, for example, if you ask normal people about what is SDGs, and I think they would know the mark, the blue mark, something with a goal, and every brand keep communicating like, okay, my activity fits on which number of goals. But in Thailand, the companies do not promote that many. The media did not tell that many. So it's still like the application that we get from foreign organizations or from the world, but not unto consumers yet. So it is, and for Thai consumers, I think it's not that attractive to see that, oh, this brand got SDG goals, so I want to support them. They still care about the function of products. Like if I buy this notebook, this note will it help my life better? Not because it's environmental friendly. So I think the awareness that we still we have less than Japanese consumers a lot. And about the action, it even less for us to choose, okay, the brand that is have a very good SDG than the brand that didn't do anything. So still care about function a lot.
Even the young people are.
Oh, that's an exception. As I mentioned earlier, that young people tend to care more. But in terms of Thai people, we care because it looks cool. Hey, I use Patagonia. I look cool, right? So it's, I think it is different based on people, but not all of them really care about, oh, sorry, let me say it like this. They may care about environment, but the way they look, the image is still very important. Like, I think in Thailand, we have similar culture like Chinese, like Mensu Bunka, we care about face. So we really care a lot how we were perceived. If you use SDG brand, you look cool, then I want to purchase. So on the other way, for Thai SMEs or for Thai brands, if you want to be accepted or become well popular, you really need to do something good and make customer feel that they look cool. So I think that will be another winning strategy of how they can promote it.
Okay, what about
Okay, differences. I think that, okay, from my presentation, I presented the SDG ranking, and obviously Japan is like way ahead of our 3 countries. So I think like Malaysia, our awareness on all these sustainable products is still very low. I think because of the awareness and the education is still quite low. I don't see much marketing done, to promote sustainable brands. But of course, we do know of some big companies like Body Shop and all that are, sustainable and all that. But as for local brands, I think the awareness is still low. And when you talk about the different generations, Malaysia is quite similar to what Kate mentioned about the younger generation being more aware. I guess because the SDG came about maybe in the 2000s. So the millennials would be more aware, having grown up in that era of where sustainable matters. But for the older generation, we are maybe the later adopters, we're not that aware. And even like, Malaysia has grown a lot in terms of, for example, recycling. Actually, our trash it's sad to say that in households, many households do not separate their trash. Yes, so it's all at the education level at households. And I think maybe the government, the regulators have to implement something to enforce even that recycling among households. So I think it has to start from home, maybe the regulators have to push a bit to enforce it. Yeah.
Interesting. In Japan, mostly, we separate the trash, but what about in Vietnam?
Could you
We separate the trashes, composites, the plastics, the cans. We
okay.
separate and waste them.
Okay. In Vietnam, there are 2 different kind of things. From the south, similar. The same with Japan. But in the north, we use together. No separate.
Separation.
No separation.
In Thailand.
No separation.
No
And
separation.
even worse, some high educated consumers try to separate, but then we found out later that when the truck collect, they put it together. So we think that it's meaningless for us to separate the waste. But right now there's a recent trend that we make the fertilizer in our own home. There's a machine that you put all the food waste and you make the fertilizer. So for high level, high income people, some of them starting to adopt these things.
I see.
Start to change behavior. I talk a lot about level because in Thailand, the income gap is very big. So the behavior of low income level, middle income, and high income people are so different.
So it's probably on the way to, recycling environmental matters. Okay, thank you very much. May I ask Professor Aoki, can you hear me? It's muting.
Yes, I can hear you now. Yeah.
Okay, may I ask you, you have probably investigated or made researches, and you have a lot of relations with lots of countries at the sustainable conferences in Tokyo, Yokohama. Do you have any perceptions or opinions about the differences, the similarities between the countries?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think, while some SDGs on the ESGs goals are common throughout the world, but I think there are also standards differ depending on the region, such as the regenerative agriculture. I think the standard for the organic are different between the monsoon climate of Asia and the dry climate of Europe. So, for example, in Europe, fermentation is currently booming in Europe. But European cheese and wine are quite different from Asian soy sauce and fermented fish and fermented vegetables, oshinko. By the way, my friend Nui, Thailand Sustainable Brand Director, said that this year conference will have the theme of fermentation. So I think we have to make the rules, global rules, and each region rules. How can I mix the concept of the rules? It's an important thing.
Okay, thank you very much. Climate, that might be very interesting. Climate and farming. Okay, we are running out of a little bit of time. We have to think about the key successful factors for the SMEs to be a sustainable brand. So, may I have a keyword maybe from each of the panelists once again? What kind of keywords can we think for SMEs sustainable branding? Let's see. Probably Kate. You showed us about the key words, but can you give a little bit more explanation about the keywords?
So it's about finding the right customers and to put the every details based on your brand positioning, and then utilize the social capital, especially the weak tie. But when I listen to your question about how SME should be doing the keyword for sustainable branding, I think it is the total system. I think my one keyword would be total system. Total system. So it's not only about marketing or promoting how, but you need to be transparent, authentic. The way you make the product, reduce waste or not, did you care about CO2 emission or not? The labor that you use, are they child labor or not? And the way you deliver the product, it should be innovative, should provide some unique function so that people will want to buy the product, not because only about ESG, but because you have a good function. For example, if the notebook can be recycled or can be erased and use eternal life. So in this way, the product must be innovative. And in the end, when you promote about sustainable branding, it's going to be easy. So we need the whole system, production, product development, and selling. So every activity should be based on SDGs. You should concerned about every element.
Okay. What about you, Dr. Zun?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with Kate. So the total system, or the other word is holistic. In my presentation, I talk about integrate into the product design and integrating in business operation and integrating in production efficiency, for example. All right. So it means the total system. And finally, I would like to say more about the communication. When you design and you produce, and you need to make people know about what you do. So, okay, total system or holistic. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. What about you?
I think I emphasized on sustainable finance. So how do the SMEs balance between providing or generating profits that would please investors, at the same time taking care of the ESG goals. So I think that there must be a balance. And based on my presentation, I think the past studies have said that there is a positive relation between ESG practices and the financial performance of a firm. So the firm must be, how to say, they must go by this and they must believe this. So, and whatever they invest in doing the right things for sustainability will translate into positive performance for the firm. Yep.
Okay, thank you. What's your opinion, Kaito-san?
はい。そうですね。うまくちょっと話せるかわからないんですけども、中小企業は、決してなんて言うんでしょう。スケールアップを考えなくてもいいっていう強みがあると思うんですね。で、もうSDGs の社会の持続性と企業の持続性っていうのは、必ずしもやっぱりリンクするものであるべきだと思いますし、これ、金剛組さんが面白いこと言ってたんですけども、金剛組さん、結構、日本最古の企業ですけども、潰れた時にですね、この会社生産っていう考え方は明治以降だから特に気にしないと、なぜなら我々は、宮大工として、これを残していく意義があるからっていうことだと思うんですよ。だから、日本の老舗企業の、特徴として身の丈経営という言葉があるんですけども、これはよく僕の父からも言われました。急いで成長しようとするなと。本当に真に考えるべきは、適した場所、この瀬戸内という場所で子どもたちに和菓子をこう伝えて続けていくと。欲を言うのはそれを進化させていくべきだっていうことだったんですね。なので、やっぱり過去皆さんそれぞれの素晴らしい、違いがやっぱりアイデンティティとして青木先生おっしゃいましたけどあるべきだとしたら、今後自分たち本当に真にこうお金じゃない規模ではない何かをやっぱり見つけてそれを従業員の人、顧客に明確に伝えていくべきなんじゃないかなと思いました。はい。
Hey, thank you very much. Okay, maybe we'll think about the keywords later, but maybe we can get some questions from the audience. Maybe there are questions from the chats. Let's see. I can't read it out because the words are too small. Let me see. Okay. Okay, the first question that we have is if they're a company which not care of SDGs actions or not interesting in it, the company will terminate themselves someday. What do you think about it? Let's see, Shanaz.
I think all companies are going towards the SDGs, whether how fast or how slow. So in the end, if companies do not go for these SDGs, they will be left behind. So in terms of whether they will terminate themselves, meaning maybe will they go bankrupt or something, they might, okay? Because as I've explained earlier, there might be some financial implications if the firm does not abide to all these ESG practices. There could be fines, by the regulators. So they're missing out on a lot in terms of the financial part. So yes, to answer the question, yes, I think that if they do not care about the SDGs, there is a possibility of going bankrupt or being left behind.
It might be to get a very interesting comment from Mr. Kaito. What do you think about it? It's a 400-year-old company, so we don't have to really think about the SDGs. It's a little bit small, narrow definition. So let's think about sustainability or branding. What do you think?
SDGs を僕の70歳の職人の人に伝えようとしたら何言ってるかよく分かんないから帰れって言われたんですよ。 で、その人はまだ淘汰されてないです。78歳になっても、技術があるからです。で、決してそれは SDGs 的な考え方がないわけではなくて、日本人、ジャパンアズナンバーワンの時代からですね、きっと日本人は何かしらその損得より前に善悪を考えるべき、その日本、精神っていうのはあると思うんです。なぜならその戦争を生き残って、それはベトナムもやっぱりそうだと思うんですけども、彼はやっぱり伝え方とかメッセージの仕方が違うのであって、決してその SDGs という言葉を使わないような適した、メッセージの仕方をやるのが一つの経営者の仕事じゃないかなと思います。
はい、ありがとうございます。So, it's not the word SDGs. It's probably this, as maybe Professor Aoki said, the spiritus thing, mind, or the sustainable minds might be different, maybe very important. What do you think about the questions? This question here, Dr. Zung.
Okay. From my point of view, SDG may be a big issue. And for an SME from Vietnam, for example, maybe I narrow it down to the whether you care about the long term or short term. So if you don't care about the long term, just you care about the short term. For example, you just want your company or your enterprise stay for a while. So no problem. I think no problem if you don't care about SDG, as long as you can survive. But if you care about the long term, so maybe the company will have the problem.
So you have to say that there's a difference between the short term and the long term. And maybe it's a little bit similar because we Japan and Thai are Buddhist countries. Maybe there's a kind of sustainability mind in Thailand. But what's the status in Japan? What do you think about this?
I think it depends on, I think it's a must, but if you don't follow SDGs, maybe your terminated period will be different depending on the industry. For example, if you're for IT or startup companies, maybe the SDGs is not that much in your industry. But if you work if you were the fabric companies, it's a must because everyone care and they have the rules that, you should not pollute water or during the procedure. But I think it is a time that we should learn from Japanese wisdom as well. You have the very beautiful theory about Sampo Yoshi, which means that you must be good to three sides, like consumers, Yoshi, right? Shoisha Yoshi, Nanyate, Tsukurite Yoshi, about the company, Kaite Yoshi, Urite Yoshi, and Shakai.
So,
yes. So thank you. And society. And only the company that care about Sampo Yoshi, like Omi Shokunin, they can live until now. So the company that did not care about society or consumers disappeared away. So I think we should care. And another benefit of caring about SDGs or doing something good to other people is about employees' motivations. This is a benefit that we often forget or neglect. If your company are Black, don't care about society, don't care about consumers, think about the employees. Do they want to do something good for your company? Of course not. And I think this will lead to the company termination as well.
Okay, very, very nice. Any other questions? I heard, is there another one? Let me read it. I think awareness is a two-edged sword. Young people may be more aware of sustainability, but there is more research highlighting how technology and social media in particular shape how young people understand the importance of history. What this means is that young people lose interest and ties with tradition. I see. We learned it in the first presentation that a traditional technique can be sustainable, but this may be easily missed if focusing only on the new and what is next, which is often discourse in social media. In other words, history and traditional culture may be an important source of sustainability for businesses. Okay, I see. Yes, probably tradition, as Mr. Kaito said, is a very, very important thing. And of course, of course, the social media for young people are, of course, an importance. Let's.
I think
yeah.
I have a
You have
maybe I
comments.
want to listen the opinion from Mr. Kaito.
Okay.
Because when they said that young people may be important, may care about history and traditional culture, I heard that your brand, you have a belief of what something called how you can mix between traditional culture and still adapt Western culture in it. Can you please share with us your way of thinking of how you can balance between traditional culture and adapting new culture in your business? So I think this may lead to the question or
Yeah, I
opinion
think
of
so,
the
yes,
comment
yes.
as well.
That's right, yeah. 先ほどの話じゃないですかね。
ちょっと話難しくないですか？
さっきさ、コラボレーションしてるって話したじゃん、ワインとかと。ワインと、あとは和菓子のコラボレーションの話なんかやってるっていう話してなかったっけ？
Because what I surprised yesterday when we visited your store and we saw, of course, traditional dorayaki, but we also say like osokuri sweets. 何やったっけ？たこ焼きに見えるけどシュークリームだったとか。Like that kind of funny series that you add. And for me, it's quite shocking because 400-year companies should look traditional, but you still add some fun, interesting products along the way. How will you balance between new and old?
Time for him?
Yeah.
So you have time to think more. All right. It's really hard for him because that's a tough question, right? And professor give the question to him. Okay, so let me buy some time for him. Actually, yesterday we went to his place, and he helped us, or he guided us to make the product by themselves. And then we had a conversation with Mori Sensei assistant, and I asked him about how he business can last for over 400 years, right? Okay, so the answer is his business has a motto, is to be flexible and to meet the need of your current customer. Okay, so I think that answer is related to this question. It means you need to keep the traditional of his business, but anyway, you have to adapt. You have to adapt to the need of the current.
Keep adapting yourself, not only fixing to traditional way, but also try and error.
Okay.
I think what Kaito-san does in terms of giving the training to the children is really wonderful because it teaches them the tradition and you try to keep the tradition and the culture alive. Prof. Edo, when you came to Malaysia, I think in 2019, if I'm not mistaken, we brought you to the textile museum, right? So in the textile museum, there is the batik and all the traditional textile and all that. So actually, we didn't go to that. There was a corner that had some workshop, like you can actually try out to do the batik. So I think that is one of the way that, like this museum try to keep the tradition alive and to let maybe other people from other cultures to try it out. So it's quite similar to what Kato-san is doing, you know, to let, it was a great experience doing the, the confectionery. So thank you so much for that.
So let's have maybe one or two questions from the audience. Is there any questions? Any questions? Okay, so. 日本語で大丈夫ですか？
はい。今日は大変勉強になるお話をありがとうございます。一つ、教えてください。私は、今、B2B 企業に勤めています。で、私のボスは、80代のボスでして、なかなか、こういった SDGs の話をしても、それはいわゆる、B2C 企業がやることだということで、受け入れて、もらえていないような状況です。それを、打開するといいますか、何か、より私のボスに伝わるようなメッセージがあれば、ご教授いただけたらと思います。
Okay. So, anyone? So, he has a boss. His boss is 80, 80? He's in the 80s. And he's having trouble with, persuading how to, implement SDGs. But is there any good way for him to persuade his boss?
I don't know how you communicated already. Maybe our ideas may be similar. But I think for B2B, it's very direct. You don't need to communicate with consumers. But the importance of doing SDG is saving cost. And now global brands, the B2C brand really care about SDGs. So they want the suppliers to provide good material, low cost product, environmental friendly materials to these companies. So if you don't do it right now, the company will die because no global brands or no other brands, B2C brand will select you. And I think for 80-year-old gentleman, he may still care about profit and money. So I think we need to communicate in his language. Like, if you don't do this, we're going to lose profit to other vendors because others are doing something green. That is my idea.
What about you, Dr. Azon?
Okay. Very interesting question. And actually, I'm working in B2B business at this moment. And as you know that, first, the sustainable branding. The firm is much better if the firm can do with the whole system, like Kate said. It means you have to do it with your supplier and with your customer, not only you, right? You have to manage your supply chain management. So SDG can only achieve if the whole system implemented. And another one is sustainability. It means that you get what you need now, but you don't satisfy your future generation. They satisfy their need. So we need to balance between the economic and the environmental and social responsibility. So the message for your boss, I think, is if you want to leave opportunity for your children or your grandchildren and save for their life or for their business, so you need to care about the SDG. Thank you.
Okay. You have any comments?
Yeah, Kate Sensei and Zung Sensei already, wrapped it up very nicely. I just want to add maybe the word leaving a legacy for the family. So in terms of having a sustainable business that lasts, many generations, seems like that is the way to go. Yeah, so as Kate Sensei mentioned about the profits, so maybe he's motivated about the profits. So, try to tell him the benefits of the SDG and how it translates into better profits for the firm.
Okay. In my opinion, one important thing is to, as Kate said, you have to translate sustainability. Don't use sustainability. Don't use SDGs. But as Kaito-san said, there are, sustainable mines, even in your Ross, even if it's 80. And that's why probably he did business until 80, And one more thing is that, as Shanaz said, think about the future customers. At the moment, you have the customers, you did the business well, but in the next generation, you have to think about the future customers. So probably these two are the most important things to persuade your boss. Okay, good. So, what about others? Hi, dozo.
Thank you for today's wonderful discussion. So I want to focus on the difference between the large company and the SMEs. So because I'm working in large company, not huge, huge company. Yeah. So I feel so large companies feel pressure toward how to adapt the SDGs and ESG from society. So that is that, but the SMEs can consider it as a expectation from society. So there, I feel that there is a opposite direction for SMEs and for large companies. Especially for my company, I think management or upper class feel the huge pressure from the Japanese society. So how do you think? So what is it? So is there any difference in the companies, countries?
Okay, I understand. Probably Professor Aoki. Maybe you can answer this question because I think that is very related to the de facto and the spiritus and the jure standards.
Yeah.
Professor Aoki?
Yeah. I have the international conference in Tokyo, and there are many huge companies in Japan and from the other countries. And I think our goal is the same, but the pathway to the goal is different from the huge company, the large company, and the SMEs, I think. And large companies, they have the budget, and they have to be obey the regulation, and it takes a lot of steps to go to the sustainability. But today, we are focused on the SMEs sustainability. Sometimes SMEs companies feel a burden for the sustainability. It's too much. We cannot afford to be sustainable. But I think we have to be focused on the agility, so flexibility, as I told you, and that I think the objective is the same, but the pathway is different from between the large companies and the SME companies. And I want to him keep going to be sustainability at the large company.
Okay, thank you very much. Yes, probably in the Japanese society, not just in Japanese society, there is pressure for big companies, large companies to be sustainable in probably every country. What about Malaysia?
Okay, I totally understand, what you're trying to get at, because in Malaysia, the public mandatory ESG reporting standards. So we are moving there, but it's still not compulsory yet. So definitely the large corporations, they will feel the pressure, to do this reporting. SMEs definitely not compulsory yet. But I think what we want to avoid is greenwashing or false reporting. That we don't want that. We don't want companies to report for the sake of reporting, or maybe do some false reporting just to show that they're doing it. So again, it falls back to transparency, integrity in reporting, and so on.
What about in Vietnam? You're in a big company. You're in the huge company too.
I'm not sure that I understand your question, but if I understand right, his question is about what is the difference between the big and the small?
Not the big and small. The pressure on large companies to act sustainable. Is it the same in Vietnam, in maybe compared to Japan?
Okay. Yeah, actually, I work for a big company right now, and I agree with you. Thus, the big company are under a lot of pressure, especially when their brand is famous, and also they are listed on the stock market, so they need to follow strictly. But if anything happen, it's not good for the price, the stock price, and for the reputation. Thank you.
My turn. I'm not sure. I cannot imagine what kind of pressure you get. Maybe from the report calculation numbers, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, I
this
think so, yeah. You have
spiritual
pressure,
term.
the big company, yeah. In Japan, probably right now, probably a lot of large companies have to do,
I
have
see.
to do sustainable matters. Yeah, there's
I
going to be a
see.
social reputation, yeah.
I have been teaching a lot of Thai companies, around 100. And from my experience, the department that is the most motivated and active most in my class is actually CSR and, SDG department. In Thailand, we think it's a very fun thing to do some other things apart from work, like helping school or, making new products without caring that much about number. So in thinking about that pressure from business and pressure from environment, the CSR team and SDG team in Thailand feel motivated very much because we are contributing to the world or to Thailand. That is what we perceive. So in the beginning, it's hard for me to get, why do you feel pressure?
I see.
But as a big company, I think you can turn this pressure into, again, money. Like I came across with Uniqlo project. It's very interesting. They use the term remake the clothes. Instead of selling new clothes forever, they ask the customers to bring the old clothes with holes. And they use the traditional way of shashu or something, mending it in the Japanese pattern. And it became so cool that instead of putting a hole here, you have the flower, Japanese style flower in the clothes. And that make profit because everyone want to make the pattern on Uniqlo t-shirt by using Japanese wisdom. They call it remake the clothes. I forgot how they do it. So in this way, you keep doing SDGs, you earn money, you attract more customers. I think if you can find the new business model or new product that attract both customers and do good to environment friendly, you may feel more enjoyable.
And Mr. Kaito, do you feel pressure from the society about SDGs? I don't think you feel it, but どう圧力は感じるもん。
ないです。はい。感じたとしたら、それ会社が単に合ってないだけなんで転職しましょうっていう。
Yes. Yeah. It's a very interesting thing. As Kate said, probably in Japan, where the big companies are not really thinking about sustainable branding. It's not sustainable branding. It's probably CSRs. It's a corporate social responsibility mind. And in marketing, it's probably from the 1970s, you know? Probably, that's right. Yes. So probably the big companies aren't really adapting to sustainable marketing, sustainable businesses. So, but there's a chance, of course. There's of course a chance. Mr. Mori, do you have any comments about big companies' SDGs? As a former of Mitsubishi.
Yes, so I'll put one question on the table. If we can reduce the number of SMEs by half, probably world has a sustainability will make a great progress, because I worked for big, large companies or huge companies, and I now started new small business. But now I understand how inefficiency a small and middle class companies are. But large companies automatically focus on something sustainable or efficiencies. So we are talking about small and middle class companies, but that is a problem, because 99.78% of Japanese companies are small and middle companies, and 70% or almost 70% employees are worked for small and middle class companies. That creates an inefficiency or some problems. Yeah, for example, my startup business tells to all American customers, we focus on something like a byproduct that is a sustainable brand. But we are carrying all of our small boxes by airplanes. That is one of the most inefficient way in logistics. This is a place to talk about or support SMEs, but that is one of the biggest problems.
Yeah.
How we can reduce the number of SMEs? That is a quickest way.
I think
to achieve
growing SME to become large companies for some of them.
And probably we have to finish up it. And one thing that we had in this discussion, and one thing that of course Professor Mori said, to wrap up it, I feel that of course the total system in the world, total system in the country, is a very important thing, as probably all three said before. But the key components of this total system, and probably the key words is, one thing is that we should, especially the SMEs, should focus on the customer or the market. Because as Professor Mori said, of course, if you think really too big, it's going to be really inefficient for the SMEs. And as Mr. Kaito said, he of course are saying he's not really in a big business, or he's not going to be grows so rapidly. That's probably one hint. Don't think so big. So don't to think too big. We have to make segmentation. It might be another kind of a segmentation criteria for marketing and branding. For example, like another marketing way of segmentating, we have those kind of demographic segmentations, the psychological segmentations. We have the behavioral segmentations, but maybe one more segmentation, like the sustainable criteria segmentation, might be necessary for these kind of sustainable brandings for SMEs. And the second thing, one really probably from the speakers we had is that they were saying about ecological issues and to solve these kind of ecological issues, but at the same time they were saying about social issues. For example, women's labor, to think about the labor power of other things, especially about the things they have to think. It's probably social. So maybe environmental matters are probably one of the mandatory things, and we have to put on these kind of social issues. And social issues could be probably done by SMEs. Maybe large companies can't do it because it's too big. There are lots of small these kind of issues in the world, in the community, in the region. So that might be one hint that we can make. And one more, probably it's about capitals. Shanaz told about the economical capital like SDGs environments, investments, but Kate said that about the social capitals that we can get, and probably it's going to be a new type of solution for SMEs to get to focus on these kind of sustainable matters. So I made about 3, but probably there's a lot of things that we have to think about in the future. But for SMEs, we think it's hard for SMEs to do these sustainable brandings, but I think it's not impossible. Maybe it's easier compared to large companies. So maybe we can think about it. And of course, in the future, from this April, we are going to build a research center. The HBMS is going to build a research center about on SMEs, not SMEs, it's SMOs. We're not just going to think about enterprises. We're going to think about organizations, nonprofit organizations. So we are calling it the SMO Research Center. And we are going to think about this topic from this April, and probably lots of people visiting today can join us for this discussion. So thank you very much for the panel and the speakers. Please give them a big hand. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much,
Professor Aoki.
Thank you. Bye-bye. This is
Bye. Okay, I'll give it back to Dr. Professor Isogai.
はい、先生、皆さんありがとうございました。すみません、ちょっと時間オーバーしましたけども、これでプログラム終了したいと思います。昨日、福山城にみんなで行ったんですね。で、江戸時代、究極の SDGs 社会って言われてますね、日本の中で。長い長期政権で、数人口も1200万人ぐらい。 で戦争が起きない、200年ぐらいが環境歴史学でいうと結構、いわゆる循環型の理想的な社会と言われてます。で、今日、さっき海藤さん、江戸先生まとめていただいたように、資本、なんか究極の中小企業の、文化資本経営と言ってもいいかなと思いました。なんか大中小企業、どちら、なんかどの企業も資本を積み重ねますけども、本当に土着性のある文化資本の400年続く企業だなというのを話を聞いて、改めて思った次第です。ぜひまた次年度以降、またこういったイベントも催していきたいと思いますので、引き続きご協力お願いいたします。今日はありがとうございました。